ready to unlock even more from your meditation. We'll get ready, because today we're diving deep into 50 meditation journal prompts.
Ooh, intriguing.
Right. It's from a website called Listallion, all about journaling.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and whether you're like just starting out with meditation or you've been doing it for years, you can think of these prompts as tools
Tools for what?
to kind of uncover hidden depths in your practice, kind of get more out of it.
I like it. And what's really interesting is that research shows combining journaling with meditation, it's not just some, trendy thing.
Right.
Studies show it can actually help people, like really pinpoint what triggers their stress.
Oh, interesting.
And then develop coping mechanisms for it. Some studies even show that journaling can boost self-awareness, which can be really helpful, help people recognize, maybe even address, like negative thought patterns that they might not have been conscious of otherwise.
That's huge.
Yeah, and you know what's even better? Even dedicating just a few minutes can make a real difference.
I love to hear that because, we can all use a few more minutes.
Mm.
Now, Listallion has cleverly grouped these 50 prompts into 5 categories.
Okay.
Reflecting on your meditation practice, exploring mindfulness, embracing stillness,
Okay.
deepening self-awareness, and lastly, setting intentions. I don't know about you, but reading through a few of these prompts really piqued my curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
Like one asks you to describe your meditation space,
Okay.
which might seem kind of basic at first.
Yeah.
But isn't there something to be said about intentionally crafting your environment to maybe make your practice more effective?
You're spot on. It's not just about having a dedicated cushion, although that can be helpful.
Sure.
It's more about becoming aware of what helps you personally feel grounded and present in your space. Maybe certain scents help you focus. Or dimming the lights makes a difference. It's about tuning into those sensory details.
It's like setting the stage for a more, profound experience.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of pairing these prompts with meditation. You're not just passively sitting in silence.
Right.
You're actively engaging with your experiences and using them as a springboard for personal growth.
I love that. Let's dig into these categories a bit more. Starting with that first one, reflecting on your meditation practice. I think even for someone who's been meditating for a while, some of these prompts, I feel like they could lead to some serious aha moments.
Yeah.
For instance, there's one prompt that asks you to describe a breakthrough moment you've had during meditation. And I'm curious, what exactly do we mean by breakthroughs in this context?
Well, a breakthrough could be any number of things, really.
True.
It could be like you suddenly had this realization about a problem that's been nagging at you.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe you felt this profound sense of connection to something bigger than yourself, something spiritual.
Right.
The key is that it created some kind of a shift within you, no matter how subtle it might have seemed at the time.
That makes a lot of sense, and I think that's where the journaling comes in, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
It's about capturing those aha moments so you can revisit them later.
Precisely. Because let's face it, how often do those profound insights hit us at the most random times? Like you're in the shower or stuck in traffic, suddenly boom.
Yes.
Journaling gives us a way to hold on to those fleeting moments of clarity.
Totally.
And maybe even more intentionally weave them into our daily lives.
And, it's not just about those, big life-altering breakthroughs either.
Right.
There are prompts here that encourage you to reflect on the challenges that pop up during meditation.
Oh, for sure.
Which, let's be real, we all have those pesky thoughts that just won't quit sometime.
Absolutely. And acknowledging those challenges instead of beating yourself up for having them,
Yeah.
that's actually a crucial part of the process.
Oh, interesting.
In fact, those moments of frustration, believe it or not, they can be incredible opportunities to learn and grow.
How so?
Well, let's imagine you're constantly getting sidetracked by your to-do list during meditation.
The worst.
Right. But instead of letting that annoy you, what if you use that as a chance to explore? Why do I feel so tethered to my responsibilities?
I like that.
Is it like a sense of obligation, a fear of missing out? By digging a little deeper, you might uncover some really valuable insights about your relationship with productivity, maybe even control.
That's a really good point. So we've touched on reflecting on our meditation practice, but what about this idea of exploring mindfulness?
Yeah.
This category feels like it has the potential to really impact how we move through the world beyond our time on the meditation cushion.
You hit the nail on the head. This section is all about weaving that mindful awareness into your everyday life.
And they achieve this by prompting you to kind of tune in to your senses, right?
Okay.
There's one prompt that asks you to describe a mindful eating experience.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm usually guilty of, like, shoveling food down between meetings.
It happens to the best of us.
Right.
But that's what's so great about these prompts. They encourage you to just hit pause on that autopilot mode
Mm-hmm.
and savor the experience. Like really taste the food, notice the textures.
Yeah.
It's about bringing your full attention to that present moment, even if it's just for a few bites.
It's like retraining your brain to appreciate those small but significant moments throughout the day. Now, what about those times when, like, stress or anxiety kind of hits you out of nowhere? Can mindfulness really help in those situations?
That's where it can be incredibly powerful. There's actually a prompt dedicated to this, asking you to describe a situation where you used mindfulness to manage a difficult emotion.
Okay.
And it's important to remember that mindfulness isn't about suppressing those emotions. It's about creating space around them.
So instead of letting, like, anxiety just completely sweep you away, you're learning to observe it without judgment.
Exactly. And in that space between the emotion and your reaction,
Yeah.
you have the chance to choose a more skillful response.
That's incredible.
Right.
I think we could all use a little more of that in our lives.
Right.
Now let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and explore a category that really piques my interest. Embracing stillness. This one is giving me some serious Zen garden vibes.
This section is all about connecting with that profound sense of inner peace
Yes.
that can be so elusive in our fast-paced world.
And sometimes you find that stillness in the most unexpected places, right?
No, absolutely.
Here's one prompt that asks you to describe a time you found stillness in a busy day. It makes me think about those little stolen moments you find in the chaos of a hectic day.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
That's the beauty of this prompt. It encourages you to find stillness in those unexpected places. Maybe it's that quiet moment with your coffee before the day starts,
Yeah.
or a walk in nature. What matters is noticing those pockets of calm and how they impact you.
It's not about locking yourself away in a silent retreat for a week.
Yeah.
Although, hey, that could be nice too.
Right.
But it's more about cultivating that inner stillness, no matter where you are.
Exactly.
Speaking of cultivating stillness, let's take a moment to delve into the final two categories when we return. You won't want to miss this. All right, so before we wandered off to find some of that stillness we were talking about, we were uncovering the power of meditation journal prompts to seriously level up our mindfulness game.
Right.
We've already covered reflecting on your practice, exploring mindfulness, and embracing stillness.
It's a journey.
It is.
Yeah.
Now we're stepping into deepening self-awareness, which sounds, well, pretty intense.
It can be,
Right.
but in the best way possible. This is where meditation starts to feel less like a practice and more like a journey of self-discovery. You know, it's about using those quiet moments of reflection to really understand your thoughts, your emotions, your patterns at a deeper level.
Okay, color me intrigued. It's like holding up a mirror to your inner world. What kind of prompts can help us do that?
Well, one that jumped out at me asks you to reflect on an aspect of yourself you've discovered through meditation.
Okay.
It could be something positive,
Okay.
like a hidden talent,
Right.
or a newfound resilience, or it could be something you're working on, like a tendency to be overly self-critical or a
Right.
fear of failure.
Yeah, I like that it acknowledges both the light and shadow sides of ourselves.
Right.
We often talk about self-acceptance in the context of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And these prompts seem to give us, like, tangible tools to actually practice it.
You're absolutely right. It's one thing to, intellectually grasp the concept of self-acceptance, but it's another thing entirely to embody it.
Right.
These prompts can help bridge that gap by encouraging you to confront those parts of yourself that you might normally shy away from.
And sometimes that confrontation can lead to some pretty amazing breakthroughs, wouldn't you say?
Without a doubt. There's a prompt in this category that gets right to the heart of it.
Okay.
Write about a limiting belief you've identified through meditation.
Ooh.
We all have these beliefs that hold us back in some way.
Yes.
Whether it's I'm not good enough or I'll never be able to achieve that.
Right?
But by bringing those beliefs into the light of awareness, you can start to challenge and dismantle them.
It's almost like those limiting beliefs lose their power when we can finally name them.
Precisely. And often we don't even realize how much these beliefs are shaping our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors until we take the time to really examine them.
This reminds me of that quote by Viktor Frankl. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom.
That's a perfect way to put it. Meditation helps us widen that space between stimulus and response,
Yes.
giving us more freedom to choose how we want to respond to, life's curveballs.
And speaking of choosing our responses,
Yeah.
let's transition to the final category, setting intentions. This one feels particularly empowering.
It absolutely can be. This section is all about tapping into the power of your mind to create the life you want.
So it's not just about clearing your mind.
Yeah.
It's about actively directing it towards something you want to cultivate.
Right. And those intentions can be big or small, short-term or long-term. There are prompts here about visualizing your goals,
Okay.
setting daily intentions, and even exploring your long-term vision for your life.
I'm really drawn to that last one, thinking about your long-term vision. It feels like a powerful way to tie together all of the self-reflection and insights we've been talking about.
It really is, because when you have a clear vision for your life,
Yeah.
it becomes easier to make choices that align with your values
Right.
and aspirations.
It's like those choices become less about should and more about what will get me closer to where I want to be.
Exactly. And that's a truly empowering place to be.
Okay, so let's say you've identified your long-term vision.
Okay.
Are there any prompts that can help you actually make that vision a reality?
There are a few here that focus on taking action. One that stood out to me asks, describe a time you manifested something through meditation. Now, this could be anything from attracting a new opportunity
Oh, wow.
to improving a relationship, or even just experiencing more peace and joy in your daily life.
So it's about more than just like wishful thinking. It's about actively using your energy and attention to create the life you desire.
Exactly. And while it's not always easy, it's a powerful reminder that we aren't just passive observers in our own lives. We have the ability to shape our experiences through our thoughts, our words, and our actions.
I love that. This has been an incredible deep dive into the world of meditation journaling. We've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but I'm curious to hear what's really resonated with you so far.
It's funny because I often go into these deep dives thinking I have a pretty good grasp on the topic, and then I end up learning so much from the prompts themselves.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's like the prompts are designed to spark new insights, even for those of us who consider ourselves, well-versed in these areas. But before we get too meta,
Right?
let's wrap things up with some final thoughts. It's really amazing to think that something as simple as a journal prompt can unlock so much potential for growth and self-discovery.
It really is. We live in a world that's obsessed with instant gratification and quick fixes. So it's refreshing
Right.
to explore a practice that encourages us to slow down, tune in, and really listen to that inner voice.
It's like we're constantly bombarded with information from the outside world, and these journal prompts offer a path to reconnect with our own inner wisdom.
I love that. And the beauty is that it doesn't require any special equipment or expensive retreats. Just a journal, a pen,
Yeah.
and an open mind.
And maybe a cozy meditation space if you're feeling fancy. Speaking of which, have any of these prompts sparked any ideas for your own meditation practice?
That prompt about describing a time you embraced stillness in a busy day really resonated with me. It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle, but that prompt was a great reminder to just
Yeah.
seek out those small moments of peace throughout the day, even if it's just for a few breaths.
I love that. It's a great reminder that mindfulness isn't something reserved for a specific time or place.
Right.
It's something we can cultivate in the midst of our everyday lives.
Absolutely. And that's what makes these prompts so valuable. They're not just, theoretical exercises.
Yeah, right.
They're practical tools we can use to create tangible change in our lives.
And I think that's the perfect note to end on. We've covered a lot of ground here, but the real magic happens when you take these prompts and make them your own. Experiment, see what resonates, and don't be afraid to let your insights guide you.
Couldn't agree more.
So as a final thought for you, pick one prompt that stood out to you today and spend just 5 minutes journaling on it tonight. You might be surprised at what you discover. Until next time, happy meditating.